Today's recipe. Hopefully everybody has the recipe in front of them, ready to go. This one is Bobby Flay. Some of you might know Bobby from his restaurants or some of his shows on the Food Network. He's probably got 4 or 5 shows, but he has a tendency to like spice. He has a tendency to do a lot of Southern dishes and a lot of dishes that are from New Orleans. And I felt this was one of my favorite shrimp and grits recipe because I think it really kind of flows, if you will, very nicely. Couple things that I've changed with the recipe today. So get out your pencils and prepare ready. First thing is I put eye drops in. The reason I put eye drops in is I had a red eye and I didn't want anybody to think that I've come down with COVID. I do not have red eye from COVID. Second thing is, if anybody should notice today, I have a fly in my hair. Pause me for a moment, stop me and say, hey, could you get that and rescue that fly out of your hair before 2 minutes or more continue to go on. I would prefer that versus, having him fly in my mousse in my hair. So enough red eye and enough fly in my hair. Make sure you vote and make sure that you vote for the senior levy that's up. I put a little plug in there for that as well. So let's get back to the recipe. Today's recipe is grits as one of the bases. And one of the things about this is grits from Quaker Oats. There are many different grits at the grocery store that you'll find. Some are very, very good. This one I like because it's 5 minutes. So I'm crunched with time. I don't want to spend 20 or 30 minutes to make the grits. I go in, I knock this out in 5 minutes. I've gone ahead and made the grits ahead of time, added the butter. I'll add the cheese in here to the warm grits in a minute. But basically grits is follow the recipe on the little container or bag that's on there. It's really exceptionally simple. It's basically water, a little pinch of salt, and the amount of grits that you're making for whoever you're serving. So I've made 4 cups of grits today because I like grits. And when you see the grits, they're white, they're kind of plain. If you tasted it with a spoon, you'd go, yeah, that grits is kind of blah. Well, the salt gives it a little bit of taste, but the cheese and the butter, everything's better with cheese and butter, kind of really enhances the flavor. It also changes the color. Grits are very plain white, almost translucent, if you will. With this grits, when you add the sharp cheddar cheese, a couple of cups of it, you'll see it change and form into a different color. A lot of people will have grits for breakfast. They'll add a little butter, a little sugar, a little salt as a side dish to your scrambled eggs and waffles. But in this dish, because it's savory, there's no sugar, little pinch of salt to give it a little bit of taste to a very bland ingredient. And then the cheese and butter enhances the recipe. So we'll do that in just a second. Due to the time constraints and the way I got a shifter on my kitchen, I actually did put the grits on and they're already cooked. It's simply 4 cups of water, 1 cup of grits. You put the grit granules in when the water starts to boil and cook it according to the package. Mine are quick grits. They're in 5 minutes, they're done. They're ready. And all I do is add the cheese and the butter. For some grits, there are some very fancy grits out there, a little bit more stone ground. Those grits, actually, what I like about those is they're a little thicker, a little bigger granules, but you got to spend a little time with them. And when you spend time with it, I mean, you got to stir them for 20, 25 minutes to get it done. So you can go quick or you can go with regular stone ground grits. The next thing we're going to do after we finish the grits, and I'll show you that in a second, is we're going to take the shrimp that we have rinsed and patted down. I buy frozen shrimp usually that's deveined and shelled. I have a favorite. I'll show you that in a minute. But after I take that, I knock it off, dry it out. And the reason you dry the shrimp, the protein, is when it goes in the pan, if it's not dried, it more steams than it does fry up and brown. And we're going to be frying it in the bacon grease that's a part of the dish. So we've already pre-cooked the bacon because that adds to the shrimp taste when we're compiling this whole dish together. So after that, we'll brown Oh, you still hear me? All right, cool. So that being said, you've got the bacon. Then after you take the bacon out and let it sit aside, then you add in the shrimp. And shrimp is a quick fix. I mean, this meal can be done in a very short period of time, and it looks elegant. It always looks great. And all you're doing is taking the shrimp from out of the bag, dust it off, and when it goes in the pan, as soon as it turns from white to pink, shrimp is done when it's pink. And that's 3 minutes. You don't want to do shrimp much longer, and the reason why is shrimp has a tendency to become a little rubbery if you cook it way too long. So just when you think it's not cooked, it is. So you'll find that. And then after we've cooked the shrimp, we're going to add in the bacon and the parsley and the scallions and the garlic and saute that for another 3 minutes to warm it up. And then we serve it on the bowl. We just put the grits down as the base with the cheese in it, and you kind of circulate that on a nice little plate. Compile the shrimp, however many shrimp you want in that center of the plate, and then just put a little bit of parsley on it, and you have a wonderful dish. So tonight's dinner will be shrimp and grits. So that's how we're going to do it. So that being said, I'm going to turn, if you will, the camera down, and I'm going to ask my executive producer to let me know that I've got the right spotting on that. Ready, set, go. All right. So can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
All right, good. So let's look at the finished grits. This is what grits look like after you take them from here. That's probably too close. After you take them from here to here. This is cooked, 5 minutes quick. And all it is, you can see the butter on the top. It looks kind of a little bit like if you've ever made cream of wheat, which I used to have when I was a young boy. Don't have it as much now that I'm older. I like oatmeal better. But that's really what it is. It's a consistency there. It's nice. Here's my sous chef coming out to smell the grits. And all I'm going to do is put 2 cups of sharp cheddar from Kroger. Now, what's great about this is I don't have to measure it out. It's already 2 cups. So all I'm going to do is add in 2 cups of shredded cheddar, already pre-ground. So that should be better. And as you can see, the cheddar is already melting. I'm going to put a little bit more in. But this is the base for which the shrimp sits on. And as you can see, if you've never made grits before, it's pretty simple. You're boiling a ratio of 4 cups of water to 1 cup of grits. And once you're done, see it goes from what was a white to now a very nice orange speckled color. And you've got your grits. And I got to tell you, it always tastes yummy. So there's your grits. I'm going to set that aside, and then we'll be all set. I'm going to clean off my board here for a minute. Have a little bit more grits. All right, so we got our grits done with the cheddar cheese in it. A little bit of salt, a little bit of butter. Now we've rinsed the shrimp off. And this is what the shrimp looks like when I take it out of my out of the bag, frozen. Now I've let it thaw for overnight, but this is my favorite shrimp if I'm not going to somewhere where they have it fresh. One of the reasons why I like this is Argentina red shrimp is relatively inexpensive for a pound. It also is very sweet. It's one of the sweeter shrimp out there. And with this recipe, the only thing I didn't do was get New Orleans shrimp. But the New Orleans shrimp that was available was all farm raised. This is wild caught. It's great. It's frozen. It was on sale. I bought a bag of it. But that's Argentine red shrimp. I encourage you, if you've never had it before, to give it a shot. You'll find it to be very good. So once I put the shrimp in here, they've dried off, I put a little Old Bay in. Now, the recipe here doesn't call for Old Bay, but I really like Old Bay when I'm making a New Orleans dish. It kind of reminds me of my trips there. And another thing that my favorite chef in Chicago does is he puts Worcestershire sauce in the shrimp to give it a little bit of extra taste. So today we're going to add about a teaspoon of Worcestershire into the shrimp before we cook that up. So just simply, most people use Worcestershire sauce as a condiment. A lot of times they'll use it in beef, but it's also great in shrimp, adds another great level of taste. So that's the variation in this recipe, is that I've added Old Bay to the shrimp and Worcestershire sauce. And that's basically taking you to right where we want to be. So it moistens it up, gets a little part there. Oh, does everyone have the phone app with the smell sensor on it? Because if you don't, you should add that to your phone. This smells wonderful. I haven't even started cooking it yet. So due to time constraints with today's Cooking with Gary, the bacon's already cooked up. That is 6 strips of bacon chopped up. And after I chopped it up, then I basically took it and just, tastes pretty good too. Went ahead and just made sure that it was nice and crispy for assembling the dish. So now I've got bacon grease to add. So I hate to turn around to my oven, but basically you're putting, this is bacon grease, just a little bit. You're adding the shrimp. Sorry about knocking my phone there. And as you can see, it's sitting a little bit of oil, so it doesn't cause a problem. So as I said, the bacon was the base for the oil to cook the shrimp. Why is that important? Well, shrimp is very low in fat. And because of that, it's not like cooking something that has a lot of marble in it, like beef or pork. It basically is very standard protein with low fat. So you got to add something in it, a little bit of oil. In this case, we use bacon. This bacon's got a great flavor and it adds a lot to it. So while the shrimp cooks, we're going to go ahead and do a couple other things. We're going to talk about today's device, which is this bowl. And you're going to say, what? There's nothing special about the bowl. Well, the bowl I use, and the reason I use it, is I set it off camera, and it's where things go, like the top head of a shallot or the skins from the garlic. It's always a nice thing to have, so you don't have to run over to your trash can, drop your trash in. So today's monthly tool is just get a bowl, dedicate that bowl to whatever you want to do. When we're done squeezing the lemon, we'll put it in there too. And then you only have to make one trip to the trash can. Pretty simple, pretty easy. It's ideal. It's already smelling good. That's behind me. So what we've done now is we take the shallot. This shallot, I think, has been on steroids. But all I'm doing is I'm taking the skin off and putting it in my trash bin. Now, why do you use shallots versus onions? Sometimes it's not so pungent, and also shallots have a tendency to be a little sweeter. So everything is right there behind me. My shrimp is cooking. You can hear it, you can smell it. Notice how I move my finger back. Less likely to attend the emergency room this week. You want to stay out of there if you can. I highly advise it. So there is more scrap. But that's your shallot. So you've got exactly what you want there. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to check on my shrimp. So now my shrimp are doing well. So the next thing is we want to take a bulb of garlic. So this is a bulb of garlic. So now what we're doing after that phone call came through is we're setting up the garlic bulbs for the sauce. All I'm doing here, taking the scraps, putting those aside, and take your onion bulb and just make a quick smash. Why do you do that? That permits the skin, which incorporates each garlic bulb, to kind of peel back just by that simple little punch. So I punched it, there's my garlic bulb. So you can get garlic that's already peeled if you like. This is, a nice way to do it. It's nice and fresh. Kroger had a nice selection of bulbs for me. And then we're all set. See how easy that skin, it just peels right off. I just add it to my mince pile. And we're just about ready to go. I'm going to check on my shrimp again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take those garlic bulbs that we've taken the skin off, and we're going to just mince this up. Another great smell in the kitchen is these bulbs. I mean, it is wonderful smelling. Always adds nicely to a dish. Very popular in all in cooking. I think you'll enjoy that. You can mix those two ingredients together because they eventually will be that way. So now that we've got the shrimp almost finished, we're browning it. We've cooked the shrimp to pink. Now we're going to add some lemon juice to the chopped bacon, scallops, garlic, and salt. So here's my lemon. Here's my lemon squeezer. So I'll put that in. I'll squeeze it in the pan. We'll be all set. What's nice about this little device is it keeps the seeds out. So for you at home, there's the shrimp. It just took, just a couple minutes to brown, and it's already smells wonderful. So now that you've got the shrimp, it's turned pink. We added the lemon juice to it, and after we've added the lemon juice, we put the chopped bacon that's already finished in the dish. Really pretty. After we do that, now we add the garlic and shallots to the dish. So I don't damage my counter, all I'm doing here is putting this in, and this will finish in the last 3 minutes of this dish going. So I'm going to put this back on the stove. And that's rocking and rolling. So all we do now is we go to the parsley. Now, why do I put parsley in this dish? Some people like parsley, some people don't. For this dish, it just adds a nice color contrast to it. So you've got the stem. I take the stem off. Focus on the leaves of the parsley, which is your main ingredient that you want in this. And while your dish is taking its time, well, it looks pretty. So here I had to stir the shrimp. So here you're just making sure the stems are off, that you really don't need the stems in this dish. Sometimes you do when you're making soup, but I prefer it like this. So now you've got your pile of parsley. Put your fingers down so you guide your knife like this and you don't go like this. So like that. And all this is doing is it's creating a nice little added taste. It's also adding a different color to the pink. So pink and green are always nice. And you got plenty here. So it'll look real nice in the dish. It adds another layer of taste. And then you're all set. I keep on bringing it back to the center pile, just so it's all set. So there is your parsley. So, parsley chopped. A review of the recipe. Cook shrimp until it's pink, then add the lemon juice, the chopped bacon, the parsley, scallions, garlic, and saute for 3 minutes. Spoon in the serving bowl and you're all set. So the shrimp's been cooking. Now I've made the parsley. And this is what the dish looks like when it's finishing. So as you can see, the shrimp is cooked, the shallots and the parsley's in there, little speckles of bacon. You can smell the garlic. You might not be able to see the garlic. I'm gonna put this back on the stove to finish up the last minute. So now we go back to plating the grits. Now what's great about these grits is they're warm. So what's happened now is they have really done a nice job of melting the speckles of nice cheese and the butter's in there. And this is important to just take it slow and just make those simple grits with the cheddar in there and just make a nice little bowl. Why do you make a bowl? Because you're going to put the ingredients in there. And this is the nest or base for which your shrimp is going to rest. So as you can see, presentation is perfect. Now I must have said shrimp, and I can hear Woodford in the background coming towards me. That boy knows food better than anybody I know besides myself. So all we're doing here is finishing the dish. The cheddar grits is down. Grab out a couple of your shrimp. Make sure you get some scallions in there, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of bacon. So isn't that just pretty? I mean, I tell you, now that was a simple dish that it just says restaurant to me. And because it does, you know, you feel like you brought a restaurant meal home without going out. And then I sometimes put a little parsley on this just to accent the color. If you like pepper like I do, you can add a little pepper. It's already salted, so you don't. So there's your dish. All right. So I guess I'll turn up the camera and hopefully